How do strong ethics build trust? And more importantly, what does good business even look like? Nearly 30 years ago, purple box trucks could be seen running rampant across the city of Jackson. With their brilliant colors, they could be spotted nearly half a mile away. Across the side, you could read Hawley's Catering with the phone number just below in all white block lettering. My Grandpa Hawley managed to own and operate multiple businesses in a lifetime, from a mobile mechanic to a moving company to a catering company, which ultimately led to him opening up his pie shop right here in Jackson off Lansing Ave. He was a man who led a life of purpose. And the reason he went into business in the first place is because he enjoyed helping others most of all. As I was a young boy, I recall helping him put items on shelves to putting finished goods in some of these box trucks and mowing many of his properties. All the while, I enjoyed watching him interact with his employees and his customers alike, as he did so with such kindness that they loved him for it. Now, having joined the Navy as a young teenager, the fear of failure left him a long time ago, and his can-do attitude was just simply infectious. And one moment when I recalled him showing us just what a big personality he had and was larger than life was when he took myself and my brother to a diner. And upon entering that diner, the name Andy could be heard from all four corners. Now, it echoed so loudly that it shook me to my core. And he made it his personal mission to make sure that he greeted and spoke to every single person that was there that day. As I sat there on the stool, feet dangling, my eyes wide open, and my head filled with curiosity, I was stopped many, many times by individuals, strangers, that had to make a point to let me know just what a great man my grandpa was. Even when times were tough, he would often lend a helping hand by helping people on the side of the road, to often bartering with his customers when payments couldn't be made. Yes, bartering. And after college, I found I shared the same love of helping others as my grandpa did, which is why I went into a career of sales. Now, when I went into sales, my first experience, it was life-changing. I found out, in fact, in the beginning, that I was just terrible at making sales. In fact, I was dreadful at it. I heard the word no so many times I couldn't count. Until I came to a point where I met somebody that was having a true issue with their printer. And at the time I thought, boy, this is a great opportunity for me to make a big sale. I could sell him a $600 drum and life will be great. And I did. The only problem is within an hour, I found out he had canceled that order. So there, at the time, I was frustrated, confused, wasn't sure what was going on. But as I look back at that moment, if I had only helped him realign that printer, I could have sold him some paper and some toner, and we both would have been happy. It would have been a great experience. And as I continued my sales career, I struggled a little bit more until I came across my largest sale, or at least so I thought. And as I followed up with that individual, as I would normally a couple days after we'd made that agreement, I was astonished to find that everything was going back. I could literally see everything going back on the truck, and my heart had sunk. I was devastated. I was counting on that commission, and it was just very eye-opening. I had no idea what was going on. My mind was spinning, and I kept thinking, what had transpired in the last couple of days in that short amount of time that we last spoke? How did I lose his trust? So as I approached that individual, watching that pallet full of paper, ink, toner, odds and ends going back onto the truck, I talked to him and I listened. And I had found that this was nowhere near within his budget, nor did he feel compelled to make the purchase in the first place. In fact, he had confided with me that he felt manipulated. Manipulated? I didn't want anybody to feel manipulated. In fact, I wanted to help people. My stomach turned. I felt terrible. And I vowed to make sure moving forward I would never do that to someone else again and treat someone with such disregard. So as I moved into other sales opportunities and positions, I started to adapt my processing and my way of thinking. So I started selling products I believed in, products that companies actually needed. And I started listening very intently to those individuals. And it was at that very moment that I realized something. By focusing on the well-being of others, I would yield the results I was looking for. They would find a solution to the problem, while my business would grow along with my reputation. So I started becoming selfless, and I started focusing purely on their problem and figuring out a solution. And if I could not offer them a solution, I was not afraid to walk away. So I became a sponge. I learned, I adapted, I analyzed, I prepared. But most importantly, I was honest. I made sure that agreements were crystal clear, that there was no ambiguity, and that we were both on the same page. And as I did that, something magical and wonderful started happening in my life. I started resolving conflicts. I resolved issues. I started saving companies a lot of money. And I made companies a lot of money. And I was becoming quite good at this. As I was doing what was making my soul happy, as I was helping others, and I began to become proud of what I was doing. And I know my grandpa would be proud. And as I look back, I can still hear his words of encouragement, and they are still with me today. You're smart enough, you're capable, figure it out. And sometimes you would often say something as simple as, if you're going to do a job, do it correctly the first time. And when I did do a good job, I would often hear 3 words. That's my boy. Thank you.